Head down to the SIBO. Dan Deming, managing director at KKM Financial. Dan, you want to trade video games in a suit and tie? Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely Activision having a nice bounce today relative to what we saw in Take-Two and also Electronic Arts as well. Now, you're seeing both those stocks actually lower after the earnings announcement. So, we're seeing a nice reaction, and certainly the numbers support that. And I think the acquisition of King is definitely paying dividends for Activision as well. But when you look at it from a technical standpoint, Oliver, and just some of the looking at the other names within the space and how they're struggling right now after the earnings announcement, I'm not sold that this thing's going to go to new highs here. I mean, it's touching the highs from January. It's probably going to hit some resistance up here around this 61, 60 area. So I'm looking, actually, I feel it's my call of duty on this trade example to highlight a put spread here for the next 6 weeks or so. Yeah. So I think this pop is producing an opportunity here to possibly play it for the downside from a trade example. So I'm looking at a March 60, 57.5.
It's not very patriotic of you, Dan. You're fading the rally.
There you go. All right, exactly. So it is not, it's every now and then, you got to kind of step out of your comfort zone. But at the same time, I just think that when you look at this trends in the industry, when you look at this chart from a technical standpoint, I think there's a chance it's going to go back down and test that 50-day moving average. And just looking at the dynamics within some of the other names that have reacted to the earnings announcement, I still think that there's probably some downside here before we see a significant amount of upside.
Yeah. All right. So you're looking at the put spread, buying the 60s, selling the 57.5, and then where does that put your break even since you're capping your gains here?
Yeah, the break evens. Exactly. Yeah, you are. The break-even's right around at the current price levels, Oliver, right around 59.25, and then it's about a 3-to-1 risk-reward on this type of trade example. I do want to point out, though, again, even though I'm looking at monthlies here, and primarily because that's where the volume is. The weeklies, unless you're playing in the first 2 weeks out, there's very little volume as far as options activity. So I think you want to look at for some liquidity when you look at these types of opportunities. Also, the markets are a little wide, so I think when you look at trading this from a trade example standpoint, I think limit orders are going to be the way to look at navigating this type of environment because, again, wider markets, volumes enough to support some trading activity, but nothing too outside of what you would feel. I personally would feel comfortable with trading because, again, I always want to see at least some decent liquidity when I look for trade examples like this. Yeah.
All right. Dan, good stuff. I like it. Hey, before we let you go, we've got stocks lower today after a real nice week. Are we selling the news on a nice employment report? Because you're getting a bond bid that to me is, I don't know, it's a little vexing.
Yeah, it is. It is surprising, isn't it? I mean, I think maybe it's just the carryover from last Friday, again, going into a 2-day weekend where, this coronavirus thing continues to be, an active part of the mindset within the market structure. So I think possibly, we saw a big momentum shift. We saw the dip buyers come in the last couple of days, and it felt like it was a little exhausted on yesterday's close. Some of the earnings announcements today not necessarily supporting it. The jobs number was strong, but at the same time, I think the market's now shifting its focus back to the potential impact from a global perspective, this coronavirus and its economic impact. And I think, again, maybe market participants just don't want to go into the 2-day weekend holding extra long positions. Maybe that's why we're seeing some of this selling today as well.
Okay, Dan, nice work here. Giving us the rundown on Activision. We'll see if the stock fades from the move. Dan's managing director at KKM Financial.